Tonight on SUTV News, we highlight Diversity Week here at SHIP.
And Governor Wolf puts new COVID-19 restrictions to large gatherings.
All that and more right here on SUTV News. Last night marked the first and only vice presidential debate for the 2020 election. SUTV's Adam Beam has your recap.
Please welcome California Senator Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence.
Following last week's first presidential debate, all eyes were on last night's vice presidential debates between Republican Mike Pence and Democratic nominee Kamala Harris. Moderated by American journalist Susan Page, the two candidates faced off at the Kingsbury Hall in Salt Lake City. The night consisted of 9 segments with topics ranging from COVID-19, foreign affairs, and many others. Kicking off the night, each was asked about their party's plan to fight off COVID-19, with Harris taking shots at the Trump administration for continuing to undermine the disease, even after the president and over 3 dozen of his staff were exposed to it. Each candidate was then asked to discuss their roles as vice president. While Harris discussed her similar values with Joe Biden, Pence used his 2 minutes to continue discussing COVID-19 and took time to bring up the 2009 swine flu pandemic under the Obama-Biden administration. When asked about the economy, Pence expressed that the Trump administration will continue with another 4 years of economic growth, sticking to the plans they've had in place since 2016, while Harris expressed that their economy will lean towards cleaner fuel and more efficient scientific research. When foreign affairs came into play, Harris expressed that they plan to regain trust and connections with many of our former foreign allies. Pence, on the other hand, continues that the Trump administration's stance on holding China accountable for the current COVID-19 pandemic is the right thing. Much of the recent controversy in the political world has been on Trump's active push for Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett, who he has set to replace the late RBG, with the big topic being Barrett's stance on the Roe v. Wade court decision. Pence defended Trump's decision to replace Ginsburg so soon and explained that he fears that Barrett will be attacked for her Christian values, as well as Democrats packing the court in the wake of Barrett's nomination, a fear that Harris found insulting as she defended that it is the mother's choice when it came to abortions. Harris was most passionate when each candidate was asked about the current social unrest facing the country, with the recent Breonna Taylor court decision and other injustices like the death of George Floyd. She spoke of her party's plan to improve not only law enforcement, but the justice system as well. Pence defending the president after many grew concerned over Trump's inability to denounce white supremacists during last week's debate. Finally, the night ended with each candidate being asked how they would handle the results of the election. Pence took his time expressing no concerns for the election as he expects another Trump victory, while Harris continued Biden's message from last week's debate for everyone to go out and vote. This was the only vice presidential debate for this year's election, and now it all comes down to the final 2 presidential debates. Next week's town hall debate on October 15th, and the third and final debate on October 22nd. With 26 days remaining till election night, the race for the White House rages on. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.
We are just 26 days away until the American people let their voices be heard. SUTV's Jacob Hitz gives us a peek into the races going on around the country.
Just under 4 weeks away from Election Day, and the race for president looks much different than it did 4 years ago.
A new CNN poll that came out Tuesday shows former Vice President Joe Biden up by 16 points over incumbent Republican Donald Trump. These are some of the worst numbers an incumbent has seen in polling since 1992, when incumbent George H.W. Bush eventually lost to challenger Bill Clinton. But the presidential race isn't the only one that people have their eyes on. Here are voters in Iowa. They're going to the polls to vote early with an important Senate race and multiple close House races at stake. Democrats are not only focused on winning back the White House, but also winning back control of the Senate for the first time since 2014. Iowa has a seat Democrats are trying to flip in a race between incumbent first-term Senator Joni Ernst and real estate broker Teresa Greenfield. A Quinnipiac poll published Wednesday shows Greenfield with a 5-point lead over Ernst, in line with the Real Clear Politics average, also at 5 points. Meanwhile, in North Carolina, another Senate seat is in jeopardy. Republican incumbent Tom Tillis has been down in polls for months and was just diagnosed with COVID-19. The Democrat challenger, Cal Cunningham, has gotten himself into trouble with an extramarital affair, plaguing his campaign just weeks away from Election Day. As of now, Cunningham has an average lead of 5 points. However, polling data does not represent any impact from the COVID diagnosis of Tillis or the affair involving Cunningham.
Stay tuned with SUTV News for all of your election news, and be sure to catch our live continuing coverage on election night as the polls close across the country and America lets its voice be heard. For SUTV News, I'm Jacob Hitz.
Last Friday, President Trump tested positive for COVID-19, and now the disease is spreading through the White House. SUTV's Adam Beam has your update.
As COVID-19 continues to rage through the country, it was announced Friday that President Donald Trump, as well as First Lady Melania Trump, have tested positive for the disease. In a tweet posted by the president, quote, "Tonight, the First Lady and I tested positive for COVID-19. We will begin our quarantine and recovery process immediately. We will get through this together." Following this diagnosis, the president spent 3 days at the Walter Reed Medical Center, where in that time he received what Dr. Connolly described as an antibody cocktail, consisting of a treatment of zinc, vitamin D, famotidine, melatonin, and a daily aspirin. Come Saturday, the president tweeted a video message stating he, quote, "starting to feel good." On Sunday, Trump briefly left the hospital in an SUV to drive past his supporters who placed themselves outside Walter Reed. And Monday evening, the president returned to the White House despite Dr. Connolly stating earlier that the president, quote, "was not out of the woods yet." It should also be noted that with the president's diagnosis, that several other figures within Trump's inner circle have tested positive for the disease as well. You, of course, have First Lady Melania Trump, then you have former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, former White House Counselor Kellyanne Conway, 3 of the president's closest aides, Hope Hicks, Stephen Miller, and Nicholas Luna, and campaign manager Bill Stepien, among several others. Former Vice President Joe Biden has also tested for the disease following last week's presidential debate. However, his test results did come back negative. Despite Trump's diagnosis, his administration continues to downplay the severity of the COVID-19 pandemic, with many still being seen in large groups with no masks, the subject of which was heavily discussed during last night's vice presidential debates. It's clear now that COVID-19 will play the biggest factor in the upcoming election, and Trump's handling of the diagnosis could be the deciding factor for his campaign. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.
With Election Day fast approaching, time is running out to register to vote in this year's election. If you are still looking to register, visit pavoterservices.pa.gov and fill out all the required information by October 19th. If you are already registered to vote through your home address and are unable to travel back home, you are eligible for an absentee ballot. PA absentee ballots must be requested by October 27th. If you are a Maryland resident, you must register by the 13th. Mail-in and absentee ballots for Maryland residents must be requested by October 20th. To register or receive a mail-in ballot for Maryland, visit election.maryland.gov.
Next week, beginning on October 12th, Shippensburg University is sponsoring a week devoted to diversity and inclusion both on campus and beyond. SUTV's Megan Talley gives the details.
Shippensburg University is sponsoring its first ever Diversity Week, taking place both on campus and online from October 12th to October 17th. Issues discussed during this event include race, gender, and even politics.
SU's first Diversity Week is set to feature facilitated events to help students gain a better understanding of one another. Events throughout the week include discussions on the LGBTQ community, systemic racism and its consequences in America, ableism and disability awareness, and more, all ending with a special on-campus celebration with members of SGA. Dr. Allison Dagnes spoke to me on why her event during this highly contested election season is so important.
I am out to get all of us just to take that polarization down about 10 levels, because it is harmful to democracy. It makes my job lousy, and it makes me sad as a human being.
Dagnes hopes her event will create better understanding and bring more acceptance from on-campus to students' communities.
That if you and I disagree on a policy issue, maybe if we even disagree on 5 policy issues, chances are there are 10 things that we do agree upon. Now, they may not be gun control and abortion rights and stuff, but maybe we have the same taste in music. Maybe we both really like dogs, or maybe we both really hate cats. That way, what you remember about the other person are the things that you have in common, and that's what you leave with. That's why we're doing it.
All events and their locations can be found online at www.ship.edu/life and click on the Diversity Week tab. Reporting for SUTV News, I'm Megan Talley.
Tom Wolf has recently announced new restrictions for Pennsylvania amid the coronavirus pandemic. SUTV's Nolan Huffman has the latest.
Coronavirus-related crowd restrictions for both indoor and outdoor events were loosened for most of Pennsylvania on Tuesday by Governor Tom Wolf, who called the shift a gradual adjustment for our lives as we learn to handle things safely until there's a vaccine for the virus or a cure for the disease. The rules, which go into effect on Friday, October 9th, will dramatically increase the current limits, allowing crowds at a range of events, including school sports. However, Philadelphia officials said the new rules will not be going into effect in the city on Friday. In a news conference held shortly after Wolf's announcement, Philadelphia Health Commissioner Dr. Thomas Farley said city officials will review the guidelines and expect to have an update on Tuesday, October 13th. Wolf's announcement acknowledged that cities such as Philadelphia can establish their own guidelines. The extra time to review Wolf's decision will not impact Lincoln Financial Field, of course, since the Eagles are on the road this weekend to face the Steelers in Pittsburgh. A statement issued by Steelers President Art Rooney II on Tuesday afternoon said they are limited to 7,500 people at Heinz Field for Sunday's game, including players, coaches, stadium, and staff. Capacity of individuals is determined by the venue's established capacity and the limit, which is defined by the National Fire Protection Association Life Safety Code. With SUTV News, I'm Nolan Huffman.
Hurricane Delta is about to make landfall down around Louisiana, and citizens are doing all they can to prepare for the storm. SUTV's Nolan Hoffman has more.
Alongside South Bay Road in Pierre Part, Jose Leo tests out his generator ahead of Hurricane Delta's landfall.
The generator on the carport, 15 gallons of gas, and just wait. That's all you can do.
But like many other locals, he's used to severe weather coming their way. His main concern now is flooding.
There's a lot of water. Everybody floods, you know, especially the low areas. I don't got my workout today, boy.
Jose isn't the only one preparing for the storm. Joe Harrison and his wife were at the grocery store picking up some last-minute supplies. Things like bread and water are already running out.
The shelves, especially the things that you're looking for, shortage of water, shortage of bread, the basic necessities.
He says his family is prepared, but still hoping the storm will not be as bad as predicted.
We went to our place here on Bell River and went ahead and picked up all of the things that were outside. Tried to tie down as much as we possibly could.
Assumption Paris Homeland Security Director John Borax now urging residents to do the same, warning them not to let their guard down.
The advisory still shows that Assumption Parish will be in the wind field of tropical storm winds, sustained winds. So we encourage everyone to take that seriously and start making those preparations.
Borax lives by this advice ahead of the storm, prepared to brace for whatever's next. With SUTV News, I'm Nolan Huffman.
Amidst the controversy over President Trump's Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett, the president has recently halted coronavirus relief negotiations with Nancy Pelosi that has resulted in a massive hit towards the economy. SUTV's Adam Beam has more.
Following President Trump's return to the White House following a 3-day stay in Walter Reed Medical Center after a positive COVID-19 diagnosis, the president demanded Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin to halt all negotiations with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi until after this year's presidential election. In a tweet posted by the president on Tuesday, quote, Nancy Pelosi is asking for $2.4 trillion to bail out poorly run, high-crime Democrat states, money that is in no way related to COVID-19. We may have a very generous offer of $1.6 trillion, and as usual, she is not negotiating in good faith. I am rejecting their request and looking for the future of our country. Following these tweets, the stock market took a massive blow as many businesses, investors, and households were relying on another stimulus to help with the slowing momentum of the economy. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended down 376 points, or 1.3%. The Nasdaq and S&P 500 also fell. With this decision, Trump now has Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to focus full-time on approving Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett. Pelosi and Mnuchin had been working on assembling a relief bill of between $1.6 trillion, which was Mnuchin's opening offer, and $2.2 trillion, the size of a stimulus bill passed last week by House Democrats. Talks had been moving slowly, but appeared to be progressing. The spending package was supposed to send another round of $1,200 stimulus checks to millions of Americans, give the jobless new unemployment benefits, and provide a new round of small business aid, as well as help for the airline industry and a range of other measurements. As of right now, it is unclear how long the president will keep this stall up for, as this could greatly affect poll numbers as the election draws near. For SUTV News, I'm Adam Beam.
Usually animals killed or injured by fires are only briefly mentioned in statistics, but one bear is putting a furry face on one California Central Valley fire. A 370-pound bear was burned in the devastating North Complex West Zone fire, which was originally called the Bear Fire. The Wildlife Disaster Network treated the injured bear and then released him about 25 miles away from where he was found. Experts say the new area wasn't touched by the fire and will still be familiar to the bear. And get this, veterinarians treated his burnt paws with tilapia skin. That's right, the fish. It's a technique they say is effective on all sorts of animals, including mountain lions. The Wildlife Disaster Network is a partnership between California Fish and Wildlife and University of California, Davis. Well, Brady, that was truly an unbearably cute story.
Yeah, it's so nice to see that they were able to treat him and release him into the wild. And with that, we'll be signing off from this episode of SUTV News.
Don't forget to check out our website at sutvnews.org and to follow us on social media at SUTV News.
Have a great weekend, everyone.